Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Vanessa. So thank you for joining Hush Know with Dr. Vanessa. I am going to have a great show because we are going to talk about some serious things. I'm just, I'm blown away. I'm blown away because for years I've been worried about what other people think and worried about what people would say when I talk about sexual energy and healing and how to heal ourselves after trauma. And I'm just to the point now that what people think does not matter. So we are going to have a really good discussion on sex after trauma. Some people may not like it. This may not be for you. This may not be that topic. I want to give a trigger warning that if it triggers you, remember that triggers just mean that you got some healing to do. You got some more work to do. So, and if you're triggered, please get some support, get some help so that you're not alone in this journey. Okay. We are going to start off by talking about CTR Media Network. They are sponsoring this show tonight. CTR Media Network have some amazing shows. Everything is positive. And so y'all check them out. They sponsor us and Hush No More. So I'm really grateful for that. All right. So we got all of the homework out of the way. One more thing is PTSD Awareness Month. That is an important month. I'm wearing my shirt. Stay, tomorrow needs you, because a lot of individuals have suicidal ideations. They have committed suicide due to PTSD. It's a real thing. So during this month, make noise, share information, let people know that you are there for them. And if they need you, you are a listening ear. Okay. So let's get into this topic because I am really grateful for the space so that I could really talk about me and talk about how I really started working on my sexual energy and what that looks like. And I know some of you have known me for years, and my life has totally changed just from working on my energy. And people don't realize that our energy is us. We're created with energy and water. So if your energy is off, that is important that we pay attention to that. So I just want to talk about it tonight. And I'm going to tell y'all why I started talking about it. I'm going to tell you why this is such an important topic for me. For me, I dealt with a lot of negative sexual energy. Some of you know, some of you may not know that I am a survivor of military sexual trauma, right? And when you have any type of trauma, not just sexual trauma, not rape, not just childhood sexual abuse, incest, you could be in a car accident that causes trauma, right? You could fall at your job and hit your head, and that causes trauma. So it's not all about just sex and rape and domestic violence, but it's any type of trauma that you're dealing with can cause you to be off as it relates to your sexual energy, your sexual health. And we all should be having sex. We all should be in that space where if you want it, you have the ability to do it and then also be able to control it. So we're going to talk about that today. And I'm going to share my information for me, things that I did, things that I struggle with as it relates to this topic, because I think it's important for us to hush no more. If we don't talk about it, then people are not going to come forward to get help because they feel like they're alone and it's just them. And that's exactly what happened to me. Okay, so I was sexually assaulted in the military in 1995, and I suppressed the memory, y'all. And some people be like, you can't forget being raped. Yes, you can. So I suppressed the memory. And 2017 was when I had a trigger and I started really working and doing the work, right? Trying to stop addiction, the suicidal ideations, just really trying to figure that out. And so it's a bug done came in here. So I guess the bug want to know about sexual energy too. So we're going to talk about it. And during this time, I went through multiple different types of energetic changes as it related to me, right? So that was everything from having sex way too much, being very hypersexual, having sex with multiple partners, not really valuing myself, not really understanding the space. And so that was part of it. That was really hard for me, y'all. Sometimes I'll have a therapist that I want to talk about sexual partners, and I'll be like, some of them I don't even remember of why I even went down that space. Why did I have sex with some people? Sometimes it was to hurt others. I felt like I had been hurt, and so I can hurt you. Sometimes it was you're married, so you're cheating, and so you're no better than anybody else. You're no better than me. So how can I hurt you in that space? I was just really mean and angry because I felt like if people can take it, what was the value of it? I didn't value my body in that sense. Then there was times when I didn't want to have sex at all. I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to be held. I hated hugs. There was a time that I didn't even want to go to church because I didn't want anybody to touch me in church or to hug me. And then, you got the little creepy deacons and some of them creepy ministers that want to hug you and touch you too much and feel on your butt because they arm too low. Yeah, I had quite a few of those. So I didn't want people touching me. And so that was unhealthy. That was unhealthy as well. And then sometimes people will have like certain spaces like they don't want to be touched. So they might not want to be touched around the throat because that's a trigger for them because of they were choked and strangled during their assault, right? Or during their marriage, who they were married to would choke and do that to them. Sometimes people don't like to be touched in a certain, like on their breast, if they felt like their breast was violated. That's important if their inner thigh was violated. And so sometimes we have these spaces that we don't want to be touched, that we think are very unhealthy, that are sensitive. I don't like it. I don't like that part of my body. We're dealing with a lot of body images. And y'all, I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking to men too. Like men deal with the same thing as women do. And so sometimes we're in that space where we don't want to be touched, right? Or we're not ready for the next relationship because of all the abuse that happened to us before. And so we can't go into a healthy relationship. Or we'll say things like, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman. But everybody needs touch. Scientists have done research on what touch and love does for us and how being in love make us feel better and trusting ourselves and loving ourselves. And what does that look like? And I always say that people don't know what does it look like. People don't know what does loving yourself look like. Okay. That is big. How do you know you love yourself? Is when you make a promise to yourself and you keep it. Okay. That is loving yourself. That is what that looks like. So if you say that you're not going to have sex with multiple partners, then you're not going to have sex with multiple partners. That is something that looks like. Okay. For me, I struggled, y'all. And I didn't realize it was a side effect of sexual trauma, right? I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that it was from being in an unhealthy relationship. And I felt alone and nobody was talking about it. Like if you go and report any type of trauma or domestic violence or childhood sexual abuse, or you go talk to your parents about what happened to you as a child, they're not talking to you about how that's going to affect you sexually. They're not talking about that. Nobody tells us that you might become hypersexual. Nobody tells us that you might not want to be touched on the back anymore, or that you want to jump when somebody comes in the room because you're always on alert, right? Or you're getting up in the middle of the night, checking all the windows, all the doors, or you can't be in a room full of men. That was a big one for me. I hated being in a room full of men, right? And I often found myself in rooms full of men, but when I got my PTSD kicked in, I couldn't be around men. And sometimes y'all will see my dog, Bear. Bear would come with me sometimes. And that's when I was feeling very, very, very hyper alert, like very hypersensitive, very just saddened. I didn't like that space at all. And so I think that it's important for us to discuss it. How can we heal it? What does it look like? And I'm just honored to be able to tell y'all that. Like, people be denying too, like what's going on with them in their relationships. Like, I've had people say, well, especially men will be like, well, my wife, I don't know really what's going on. She doesn't want to have sex anymore. She doesn't want me to touch her, or she changes, or, she doesn't like certain things. And it's really hard. I'm telling you, if your mental health is off, sex is normally off, right? Because some of those medications too take away our sex drive. So if it's mental, right, the mental things affect that, right? And how we view that. And I've talked to men about it, and I'll say, if it's mental, it's a struggle. Has she had any trauma? Is it a traumatic experience, or is there some type of medical thing that's going on? Or are you boring? Because sometimes we're in relationships and it's not necessarily trauma. It's that the person that we with not satisfying us, right? So that's a big one. I need to make sure that you're satisfying the individual that you're with. But what does that look like? And for me, your sexual energy is not really based on somebody else. Some of you are waiting for somebody else to please you, to satisfy you, to make you feel good, to make you feel loved. This is something that we do for ourselves, right? This is what we do for ourselves. It's not somebody else's responsibility to make you feel safe and secure, right? You should feel that way. And then if they do something to show you something different, then you could feel unsafe. But you are responsible for your orgasms. You are responsible for how you love, how you smile, how you wake up in the morning. It's not a relationship thing. And I think sometimes people get that confused because that's what we was taught, or we didn't talk about sex at all. I know we didn't. It was don't have sex, because if you do, you're going to hell, right? I had them type of sex talks, and I don't know who else did, but I know I did. So having those conversations, but your satisfaction is based on you, right? You should be able to satisfy yourself in any type of orgasmic, euphoric way. And we don't even talk about that. We don't talk about touching ourselves. If you don't touch yourself because of any type of trauma, that's a problem. That is a sign that you're struggling in that space. You should be able to touch any body part that you have and understand it and know how it feels. Okay. And I know that's uncomfortable for some people, but you should be able to do that. It is important to be able to know all of your pleasure spots, to know your trigger spots, to know what's going on with your body. And some people, they can't deal with that, right? Another sign is pornography. That wasn't one of mine because when I look at pornography, I don't understand why people watch porn because you should be doing it and not sitting here watching it, right? But if you need porn to stimulate yourself, right, that's a sign. If you need porn to be able to even get the courage to participate, or you're looking at that because you don't have any type of desire, so you watch other people or the person that you with, you can't figure out how to navigate that space, that's an unhealthy space. Okay. And sometimes people don't realize that that is an unhealthy space. Now, I'm not saying that all pornography is unhealthy, right? You can watch porn, have fun, you do a couple things, you and your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever y'all do, same sex, whatever you do, right? You can watch pornography. But when it becomes an addiction where you have to have it for stimulation, that is a problem and a sign that your energy is off. Okay. And I talk to a lot of people who need stimulation through pornography, or they have to have self pleasure through pornography. And that's an unhealthy space, right? And I'm grateful that that wasn't one of mine. Another one is addiction. When you need alcohol or some type of drug, some type of drug in order to get you stimulated, that's a problem, right? That's another sign that you're off, right? Some people say that alcohol is liquid courage, but also alcohol can be a stimulant, right? It stimulates you, then it causes depression. But all of that will give you signs that you got something going on with your sexual energy. Okay. And you just got to admit it to yourself. And some people do not admit it or they don't want to listen. The person that they're with talks to them about their energy, or they might not say energy, they might say, hey, we haven't had sex in a while. It's been a while since we've done anything. It's been a while since you let me touch you. It's been a while since we cuddled on the couch, or it's been a while, you don't even let me hold your hand. Those are signs that something is going on and that is your responsibility to fix it. Okay. We can't wait for other people to work on our trauma. We have to do it ourselves. And I don't think that people accept that responsibility. You should not accept that responsibility for the person that you're with, right? And that's how you know it's unhealthy. Some of you are going to tune in because the person that you're with, you're not happy from that space because they're struggling with trauma. And so it's important to understand that and to understand yourself, and also to understand why you're with somebody that is struggling in that space. Because sometimes we're mirrors. So are you picking up people that are a mirror to you, that are similar to you? That's something that you got to ask yourself, right? Ask yourself if the person that you're with, you're with them because you have your own trauma and you're trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is a real thing. Okay. So that's important. And I'm very transparent, y'all. Y'all know I tell all my business. I personally meet a lot of men with a lot of trauma. I don't want a man with a lot of trauma, right? I don't want to be your counselor. I don't want to save you. I don't want any of that. And so I'm very open and honest about that. But I met a guy that had sex since he's been having sex since he was 12 with multiple women. If you had any type of childhood sexual abuse, you were molested, if it was incest, that changes the energy that you have when it relates to sex, right? That is important to think about that. And I meet so many men that have been abused as children. And it's not even by another man. A lot of times it's by women, by the old women that say that they are, what do women call themselves? God, I can't think of the word that they use. But you really have to pay attention to the older women that are having sex with the young boys, because that affects them. And then we can't find healthy relationships, right? Because everybody messed up from childhood and they're not admitting it or addressing it. Or they came out of a relationship, didn't deal with all the trauma that was in that relationship, and now they're trying to date you. Don't be with somebody that got a lot of trauma. And if you got trauma, don't go and be with anybody, right? I have been very adamant about being careful about anyone that I sleep with in that space, right? Anyone that has an attachment to me sexually, because I'm in a healing space. So if you are messed up, you'll take me steps backwards, right? That's where we at. So I don't let anybody just attach themselves to me, and I make sure that if they're not in a good, healthy space, that you're at least working on it. But I'm not in that space to pick somebody or be with somebody that's not healed. Melinda, thank you for joining in. And it is a great question for us to ask ourselves, right? We got to ask ourselves a lot of questions and be honest with ourselves. I meet so many people that are not honest, right? Or they walk around like they're in a happy marriage, and your marriage is tore up from the floor. Y'all remember that, tore from the floor up? Marriage just messed up, right? Not sleeping together, y'all in different bedrooms. Remember when like Big Mama and Granddaddy was in two separate rooms? People are not really happy in their relationships, and it shows. And a lot of that stems from the sex, and then your finances, right? Your finances, your sex, your mental health, that affects our relationship. So how can we get to a better place? How can we start healing? And that is the goal today, is for me to share that with you and give you some tips on some of the things that I do to be able to just feel good. Feel good. All right. So that's what I'm going to drop with you all. Feel free to leave a comment, to say anything. If you have a question, I don't mind talking about it. I don't mind answering the question. There's no question that you can say that I'm not going to answer or be a little nervous about, because I openly talk about sex. I think it's important. And I talked about it so much, my kids used to be like, Mom, we don't want to talk about that. But I felt like we need to talk about it so that it's healthy. And I will tell y'all this, and some of my friends who are religious, we just gonna have two different opinions, and I respect your opinion, I respect mine. But I'm not one of those people that believe that you have to wait to have sex before marriage. That's just not what I think, right? That's just me. Some of you do. If that is what you think, that is what you believe, then that's fine, because we have to find our own journey. But for me, that is not even an option, right? That's just me. But I had to figure out a way that I can control that. Because like I said, I was very hypersexual. How do I control that? When you're having sex with people that you don't even remember their name, or you don't know their name, or they know your nickname because they met you in the club, that ain't healthy. So how do we get around from that and do some work? So I'm gonna give y'all some tips on some things that you can do. Okay. One, you got to be honest with yourself and write down the things that you are dealing with. Put it in paper. Make it plain and true. Be honest, right? If you have not had an orgasm in years, or you've never had an orgasm, that's a problem. Okay. That is a problem. And you need to admit that to yourself, because that's something that we could work on. If you're saying, well, I never had an orgasm, and the other person that I'm with never allowed me to have an orgasm, that's a problem, because you literally can create an orgasm yourself, right? The first time I did it, I was like, oh my God, you could do it yourself. You don't have to have somebody else. And I was taught that you shouldn't even touch yourself, but that's crazy. I don't believe in that. I'm gonna make sure that I understand my own body. You should be able to understand your body. Okay. So think about that. Be honest with yourself about the things that are going on with you, right? If you know that anything around your neck causes problems, anything, if you were submerged underwater doing abuse, then you might have problems with water and not being able to do something as a couple in water. So you got to look at your life and look at yourself and say, this is something that's been happening to me. This is something that's been happening to me. My last relationship, the individual said this about me, and I didn't know how to address it, or I didn't want to believe it. Okay. And I'll tell you, it is hard to admit this to yourself, right? It is hard to admit it to yourself, right? Because I know I was in that space. And so I don't judge what people going through, because I done been through some things, right? I done been through some things. Me and some of y'all know my ex-husband Tony. We often talk about we're best friends now, right? That's my parenting partner, and we often talk about like sex and what does sex look like from a heal perspective and from a relationship perspective. Like what were some things that I was going through from a trauma space that I need to work on. Okay, and we had those conversations. You should be having those conversations with somebody that you're with. Okay. Hey, Naima, she said, great topic. Self-exploration includes discover what makes you feel good. It does. So how can you expect somebody to make you feel good and you don't know what to tell them? You just want them to explore. And then you upset because they didn't satisfy you, right? So you got to know for yourself what that looks like. Okay, so thank you for that comment. So once you write those triggers down, right, Now we got to look at it and reframe our thoughts around it. So, like I said, if you're being choked, right? And you have to look at it and say, is this right here really going to kill me? If the person that I'm with next, are they harming me? Right. And if it's really difficult for me, I need to tell the person that I'm with. If I'm with somebody and I don't tell them my triggers, right? How can they avoid it from happening to me? Right? From it happening to me. They have no clue. So you have to have a conversation to say, hey, when you brush against my left arm during sex, that bothers me, right? If you breathe on the back of my neck, I don't like that because I was assaulted from the back, or my ex used to have sex with me from the back and I didn't like it and it was forced. You know, you could talk about when I was a child and my dad did this to me. You got to talk about it. Why does this bother you? And let them know that, because you're going to start working on healing. And if you're not having that conversation, how do they know? And it's going to trigger you every time. And then you got to reframe your thoughts around that, right? The person that you are with now is not the same person that you were with before. They're not trying to harm you. They love you. They're trying to explore with you and they're trying to have fun with you. So you have to reframe all of those thoughts, right? If you're having sex with the lights on because when you had sex with the lights off, that was a problem for you, you have to reframe that. You got to turn them lights on and explore it in the light. Some people have never had sex in the light, right? You always have sex in the dark, body shaming, not really liking to see yourself having sex. You should be able to cut the lights on and have sex. The next level is even being able to have sex in the mirror, to be able to see yourself and to love yourself and know that you are beautiful, that you are handsome, and that you're creating something special. Sex is actually healing, right? If you grew up in certain religions, the way they look at sex is as if it's a taboo, like it's something that you shouldn't do or we shouldn't talk about, but we really should. Like, how do you get to that healthy space? Okay. So doing that, you got to look at the things. If you are always in the dark or if you're always in the light because you're scared to have sex in the dark, that's something that we have to address, right? So think about that. I want you to really be honest with yourself and talk about, like, these are things that's going on with me, you know. Or if you have sex, you only want to have sex for maybe 5 minutes. The person that you with, you want them to hurry up because you're really done. Or during sex, you get lost, like your thoughts are somewhere else and you're not in that moment with them. That's a problem. You should be in that space. And if they're asking you, like, where are you? Where are your thoughts? I feel like you're not connecting to me. I feel like I'm not important to you. Like, you're not making me feel valued. You got to listen to that. They're telling you that. And especially if you've been in multiple relationships, that is important. Melinda said, make your voice count. You have to let people know what is going on with you because they're not, right? I need you to do that. But how are you going to be able to do that? By writing it down and writing it all down. And whenever something else come up, you write that down too. Okay. You got to write that down too. So I remember I used to say things like, I wouldn't have sex with nobody unless they were married. Unless you married and y'all cheating or whatever, y'all got that type of relationship, it still ain't really healthy, because why are you cheating, right? But you got to look at yourself. If you got multiple partners, why are you with multiple partners, right? And I had somebody tell me the other day, they was like, well, I have multiple partners because the person that I'm with not satisfying me. That's the conversation. That don't mean that you go and have sex with somebody else. That means you got to talk to them about that you have a very high sex drive, and we need to talk about that and seeing how we can reduce your sex drive, right? Because if everybody that you having sex with, you ain't never satisfied because you want it so much, that's not normal either. So you got to find a balance. You got to find a balance where, and the balance that's for you, right? And the ones who are very hypersexual, you know who I'm talking about. The ones who are addicted to sex, like, you have to have sex every day. I used to be to a point where I had to have sex every day. I was having sex every single day because for me, while I was having sex, that was me having power and control, right? I had to sit down and analyze, like, what was going on with me every day, y'all. And some people don't have to have it every day. For some people, that's normal, right? But a lot of times that's not. Right. So if you're saying, well, I got to go find somebody else because my sex drive is so high, I'm trying to find somebody that match it, you got to evaluate that to see if that's healthy or not. Okay. That's what I charge you to do. So be honest, write them all down, right? Touch yourself. I have had events where, we do a lot of retreats where women will look in the mirror, right? And I'll say, look in the mirror, right? I want y'all to look in the mirror so that you can really pay attention to yourself, right? So that you can feel how you look. You know, you got to look at how do you look? How do you feel? And women can't. I've seen women break down crying, y'all, like boo-hoo crying because they can't look at themselves in the mirror. You should be able to say, I am beautiful. I love my curves. I might not think that I'm perfect, but I'm all right. I got stretch marks, but them stretch marks is not saying that you're not beautiful. Maybe you gain weight, lost weight. Maybe you had a baby, right? Maybe one of your breasts are bigger than the other. But if you don't love yourself for who you were created to be, then how can you expect somebody else to love you and fill that space with you when you don't do it yourself? Nobody else should be making you feel like you care about yourself. Nobody. Right? You gotta do that yourself. When you walk in that room, you should be able to take off a robe, walk in there naked, and be like, "Bam! This is me. This is what I have. This is what I'm working with." Right? And I struggle in that, but I go right back into my space and say, "No, Vanessa, this is what God created you to be." I exercise not because I want to be skinny. I exercise because I want to be healthy. And that's a big difference. So doing that, doing those type of exercises. And I challenge you to do a mirror. Some of you will go and brush your teeth and you really never look at yourself in the mirror. We got to do that. We got to love ourselves and love what we were created to be. Okay. Then you can also do baths. Sometimes we don't take baths anymore because we're always in the shower, but a cleansing bath, right? You could do a bath with some Epsom salt, put some crystals in your bath, right? Put some fresh flowers. Like I have roses that bloom automatically. I put roses in my water, right? I love amethyst. And so whatever I'm working on, I'll make sure that I get the crystal that I'm working on to put it in my bath water. But taking a bath, taking the time out for yourself, meditating in the bath, releasing all of that extra stuff helps as well. Okay, so I want y'all to think about that. Next is meditation. And we're going to do some meditation at the very end. But I want you to like just have that space. Meditation is not always right with your legs crossed. Meditation can occur in the shower, it can occur in the car, but sitting in a space by yourself, no children, no significant other, nobody, no mom, no dad, no kids, nothing. By yourself and just meditate on the woman or the man that you would like to be. Where do you see yourself? Visualize yourself in a very healthy relationship, right? What do you want your relationship to be like? How do you want to feel about yourself, right? And start manifesting that. This is what I want. I want to be able to be in a very healthy relationship. I want to be able to express how I feel, right? What does that look like? Yeah, like I want to go fishing and hang out and go on dates, right? Tiara said, add some rosemary to your water, right? That's something that you could do as well. Thank you, Tiara. So we want to be able to just do things from a holistic way, but you can manifest and visualize what it is that you're looking for. That is so important. And so I encourage you to do that, right? Because you got to admit to yourself that you struggle. Right. All right. Next, your chakras. Some of y'all don't know anything about your chakras or what a chakra is, right? That's your energy sources that's in your body. That's how I explain it, right? And we have a lot of chakras in our body, but a lot of times we only focus on these. We look at our root chakra. When you having all that childhood trauma incidents and stuff, that's in your root, right? That's in your root chakra. We look at your sacral chakra. That's carrying all of that sexual trauma too, from a whole nother level, right? That's where we have sex, our love. That's right there in that space, right? So looking at our sacral chakra is important, right? Our heart chakra. Sometimes our pain, our forgiveness. We look at our heart is broken. It's been broken. So working in that space. Your throat, your voice has been taken, right? They've taken your voice away. And so now you can't even speak up and talk about yourself and what you want, what your needs are, or people making you feel guilty because you've been with a narcissist forever, right? So you guilty about how to talk about your own personal needs. That's big, y'all. You got to talk about your sexual needs, okay? Then I want you to look at your third eye. Your third eye, that's right up in here, right? Sometimes y'all will see me wear a bendy protecting my third eye. That is where all of your knowledge, your God rests right there in that spot, right? That's your perception, how you view things, right? So you want to make sure we're looking at that. And then your crown chakra, right up in here, right? Is like where this more knowledge come from and how you view things. So I want y'all to start looking at that. But I want to talk to y'all about your sacral chakra because that's normally what you're really struggling with. Meredith, thank you, Battle Buddy. Thank you. She said that's great advice. I appreciate you. And Angela said, it's important to write the vision and make it plain as it relates to knowing and manifesting what it is that you want. That goes for your relationships, y'all. Your healing. How do you want to smile, right? Visualize yourself smiling. Thank you, Angela. I'll be looking in the mirror and be like, I'm going to smile like this. Or I'll be practicing how I'm going to pose for my pictures. I already know if I put my hands on my hips and cross my legs, I'm going to have this hourglass look. So I look at myself in the mirror and make sure that I'm practicing that. Okay. We're going to talk about your sacral chakra. It is big that you heal that, y'all. Um, Things that you can use is crystals. I'm real big on crystals. Some people don't believe in crystals. Anything that's in the Bible, I'm gonna use in crystals in the Bible. Okay, like you could look at carnelian, any crystal that is like orange, brown, yellows. Those work for you in this space because we need to work on different parts of ourselves. So like a sunstone. Orange calcite is good. Rose quartz is good. Tiger's eye is good, right? Those are good crystals that help you with your energy and help you try to balance that out. Okay. I'm real big on that. How can I heal holistically? Because if you go to the doctor and you be like, your sex drive off, they might give you like some Viagra, or people use ecstasy. Those are not the healthy ways to do this, right? You can actually do this from a holistic way, right? And so Goddess K Oya, I love her. I'm going to give credit to her because she also did like Sacral Chakra Tuesday. And it was important because we need to focus on like our creativity, our pleasure, our passion, our emotional flow. And y'all, it's not just about sex in this space. It's about how you loving your children. Are you able to hug on your kids? Are you able to tell your babies that I love you? You know, how important you are. Are you able to do that with your family members? That is what's going on in your sacral chakra. All of that. If you're always sad and you never do anything and find pleasure and enjoyment, that is that area that we're working on. Okay. So we got to heal that. And I always say, when one heal, others heal, right? You can't expect somebody else to just come to you already healed if you're not in that space yourself. Okay. So your sacral chakra, you can look at your navel, right? Touch your navel, right? So for those of you that don't know what that is, right? It's really important to know these spaces in your body, right? So that we can connect to them. So it's right below your navel, right? And when you feel it, that's where you connect. That's when you create. That is the connection space between a man and a woman, or even if you're the same sex, that's your connection space, right? And you want that to be balanced. You want that to have that enjoyment, right? You want to have beauty in your sensual. You want to be sensual and soft and trying to find a balance between your masculine and feminine energy, right? You want to dance. I love dancing. I love putting on like my R&B music. I'm an R&B girl. I love old school music, anything that make me feel good and sexy. And you could dance. You could dance in the nude in your bedroom, right? You could dance in front of the mirror in the nude in your bedroom. You could stretch, right? And you can flow. But all of those things help you with your sacral chakra. Okay. Some of you are in yoga. Yoga helps you in that space as well. So it's important that you're really paying attention to your sacral chakra if you're overstimulated or you're understimulated. Okay. You could eat anything that's orange or yellow, like mangoes, peaches. You'd be like, I'm working on my sacral chakra today. Wear something orange and eat something orange. It just reminds you. Peaches, butternut squash, papaya, sweet potatoes, oranges, like all of those things help you in that space. Okay. It helps you to feel connected to the divine. You are the divine. You are a goddess. You are a king. And connecting to that space is important, y'all. And some of y'all are really in denial, but you can even like flow to like in the day. If you go to sit at water, you don't even feel that energy from the water coming to you because you're so blocked. Or you go to work and you just mad all day because you are blocked and your energy is just sitting in this negative space. Okay. And that's important that we do that. Sherelle, hi Sherelle. She said, be intentional. We got to be intentional. I love that. We got to be intentional. All right, Brutus. Thank you for giving me that male presence. And thank you. He said, keep spreading awareness and love me. Thank you so very much. It's important. And congratulations on your wedding too. Because some of us can't even get married because of trauma, right? So you can't even get to another relationship. Sherelle said, we are one with nature, so should go back to the source of physical and spiritual needs. And she said, mother and the child, the umbilical cord. Exactly. We're all connected right there, right? That is important. Grounding. If you're having any type of anxiety, a bad day, rough day, just not feeling good, you could take off your shoes, go outside and stand in the grass. I've been on the phone with with survivors who are like hyperventilating, right? I'm like, hey, pull over, go outside, take your shoes off, just stand in the grass. The other one is trees. Trees have so much energy. You could literally sit up under a tree and journal. You can hug a tree and you can feel the energy from the tree if you just put yourself in that space, right? That is important that we're looking at that and saying, hey, I'm not connecting, right? And if your children are saying things like, Ma, I want to spend more time with you. I want to hug you. There was times that I didn't hug my kids. I literally, y'all, had to go back and apologize to my kids because I wasn't saying like, I love you every time I got the phone, or I love you every day, or I just assumed that they knew, or I wasn't in the space to even talk about love, right? Because of depression and suicidal ideations. So we have to heal ourselves so that we can make sure that we're helping others to be able to heal too, right? And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about because you're struggling with your kids, right? Sherelle says she's a hugger, right? I'm a hugger now. I wasn't a hugger. Trauma had me not want people to touch me. Don't touch me. And so I'm real big on asking permission. Unless I know they're a hugger, I'll normally say, do you mind if I give you a hug? Or I give out pocket hugs because I know that we're dealing with it and we don't want to really struggle in that space. Okay. So those are some things that you can do, right? I'm gonna run back over them. Journal it, write it down, write them triggers down, write things down that you need to talk about. Reframe your thoughts around your triggers, right? Why are you feeling this way? What occurred that makes you feel that way? Okay. Touching yourself, dancing in the mirror, being naked. I am truly a nudist. People don't realize it or don't know that about me, nor do I care. But I am. So I go to nude beaches. And I love that space because it's not about sex. It's about me connecting. So if I'm one with God and I'm in the ocean and I'm naked in the way that I was birthed, I feel like that's my connection, right? When I'm nude out in a public space like that, I'm like, wow, I just have to figure out me, right? It's about me. It ain't about everybody else that's here. And I will tell you, when you go to spaces that are like a nude space, it's not about sex. They ain't looking at you. They actually encourage me. I've seen women that's like 400 pounds nude on the beach, and I was like, oh my God, she just loves herself and she has no embarrassment or shame. Shame and embarrassment comes from trauma, right? Or from what our parents said to us, what somebody else said to us, what a significant other said to us. That causes that, okay? But being secure in yourself is important, okay? And people are like, Vanessa, you've done a lot of work. You've done a lot of changing. I have. And I'm not afraid to try. Some things I don't like, some things I do. Miasha said this is a really great topic. Thank you, love. I appreciate you in this moment. But this is important, y'all. When I tell you it is important for you to save yourself, because you are the most important person in the universe. You are, okay? You are, and you should be able to have a very good, healthy relationship, and not just sexual. Your energy affects everybody else around you. Like if you ever been in a room and somebody walk in and you like, whoa, what's wrong with them? Or you at work and they come in the morning and you speak and they don't speak back. They already mad because of something that happens. That's energy. The energy off. And I don't even want to deal with it. And like when people are call me, I'm in a good space and you want to call me and gossip about somebody, I don't want to deal with that because I'm trying to keep my energy good, clean, and healthy, right? I am very protective because I know that I have an addiction, alcohol. So I'm trying to stay sober, right? And how I stay sober is keeping crap away from me. No negative energy. Any event you come to, I always say, we ain't doing no negative stuff, positive stuff, and it's about love and kindness. And that's because I'm trying to keep my energy clean. And sometimes other people's stuff will affect us. Okay. So you got to cleanse. You got to cleanse stuff off of you. I love sage. Sage is a good way, right? Using obsidian, like any type of black crystal, help you cleanse, right? Taking spiritual baths to cleanse. That is big. Most people don't even realize why we open up the wellness center. We open up the wellness center from a healing space. Me and Tierra does rooted vibration. So like she offers crystals and teas and herbs. And we do this because this is how you can heal, right? You could take Blue Lotus just for depression. Damiana increases your sex drive. You don't have to take Viagra, right? Tiara makes something called drip. Drip will increase your sex drive. It'll increase the moisture in your vaginal area, right? So you don't have to do things from a space of medication. You could start working on yourself from a positive, energetic, holistic way. Okay. Angela said it's really important to know your love language so you can know your needs and the needs of your loved ones. Right. I remember I didn't even know what love languages was until I went to a conference. You got to know what you want somebody to do for you. What is it that you need? What your wants are. Sometimes we don't know, right? I didn't know. Some of us don't even know what the G spot is. There's some individuals that don't even know about the anatomy of your vagina, or you won't even say vagina, right? You got a nickname like my little cat or my little private. You can't even say it. You can't even say the word penis. That is a sign that you got something going on with your sexual energy. Okay. Sherelle said, God asked Adam and Eve, who told you you were naked, which always made me think I get home and strip everything. Yes, that's what we have coming out of the bras too. Um, we're so disconnected from earth. Even our shoes, we wear rubber. If you look at animals, if you look at like dogs or cats and look at their paws, they're always connected to earth. We're not. We should, when we're little kids, we make sure that we take our shoes off, and then our parents be like, "Put your shoes on, don't be outside." We have to connect to that. We have to connect in that space, y'all. That is really big. So earth is how we heal. Okay. That is how we heal. And I want y'all to really consider that. And if you don't like it, you might not like it. Me, there's some things I don't like to do, right? I like a very gentle yoga. If they're sitting still for a long time, my back start hurting, my legs start going numb. So I'm not a big yoga fan, right? But I like hot yoga. Try healing modalities to see if it starts working on you. And also, if you have a partner, you need to talk to your partner about what you're doing and how you're healing. And also, it's something that they can partake in too. Okay, that is important that you're talking to them. And don't assume that who you're with does not have their own trauma. There are a lot of men and women, right, who have experienced trauma that have never came forward and never said anything, have not told you. So you're trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, so you're trying to figure out what's going on, right? And I just applaud y'all. I'm getting ready to do an event. I'm doing it for 2 weeks, so for 6 weeks, 2 sessions, and it's big. And what I decided, I did release it in my newsletter and to a couple of people that had been dealing with the sexual energy. But I said, I'm going to release it and let y'all know, because this is what I do. This is what I talk about. I just gave y'all some little basic tips. I haven't even gave y'all no exercises for y'all to go do to really be able to explore yourself. But that's big, right? And it's called Experience the Healing Power of Your Sexual Energy. Okay. And this is what it looks like. I'm going to help you clear the blockages that you have, right? Really rewrite the story that you tell yourself, because that is big, right? Talking about Tantra, right? Some of y'all don't even know what Tantra is. It is Tantra. I want y'all to Google that and look it up. Finding your creativity, right? And it's just not about other people, it's within yourself. This is what this is about: healing yourself and not having sex with somebody else, right? And trying to figure out what your self-love looks like. Where's your confidence, right? And if you're saying, I don't need sex, I don't need touch, and you've been celibate, and it's an unhealthy decision, then you need to work on that. Now, some people decide to become celibate because they don't want to really tackle that, right? They don't want to deal with the bull crap in dating. So, and they only want to save themselves for the next person they with, then that's okay. But if you're celibate because you're telling yourself that you don't need a relationship, right? I remember my mom said to me one time, she said, I don't need a man, I got Jesus. And I was like, Mom, I love Jesus too, but Jesus don't hold you at night. Like, having that comfort, right? It's somebody that you with. That's unhealthy. Right? That is unhealthy. But if you're made a commitment to yourself, a love commitment, then celibacy is good. But if you have not made a commitment to yourself and you're just missing in action, that's not good. And especially if you're not present. I need you to be present, right? We need to see the healed you. That's how we change the world, is by taking care of ourselves. I need to see the heal you. Your children need to see it. Your spouse, your future husband, your future wife, they need to see the heal you. Okay. I need y'all to do that. That's important. Okay. And if you have any questions, or if you say, Vanessa, do you think that this is a sign? I'll let you know, right? Because sometimes we're confused because menopause also will make you feel like you don't want to have sex, or aging, your sex drive might change. So it could be something medical too. But if you know that there's some trauma in what I'm saying, it's some things that you can do to work on it, and you don't have to live that way. Okay. You are the most important person in the universe. You are. You're the most important person in the universe. I promise you that. That is about you. Okay. And that I want you to love yourself. I'm going to play a song for you all. And I absolutely love it. I encourage you to get it, play it to you for yourself, listen to it often. Find you a playlist that makes you feel good. Like I love anything India Ari, but this is Cleo, and she's really dope. She's very holistic, and she talks about knowing that you love. So sometimes meditation just looks like music, right? So I'm going to just give y'all a demonstration of that so that you can feel it too. All right.
That you are loved, even if you don't love yourself. Know that you are loved, even if you don't love yourself. Know that you are loved, even if you don't love yourself.
That's my jam, y'all. Her name is Cleo Soul, SOL. And sometimes we need to be reminded to love ourselves and to pour into ourselves, and that we the most important person in the universe. And some of you are expecting it from other people. It's not their responsibility. It's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to get into a space that you're balanced, a space of happiness, a space of joy, right? That's you. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. It's not your therapist's responsibility, right? It's not your parents, your doctor. It's you. You have to do it. But you're expecting it from the wrong people. Okay. So I encourage you to look in that space. Okay. And hopefully you like the song where I just ride in my car sometimes. I'll be like, you're loved. God loves me. And I got to love myself. I ain't worried about no man loving me. I love me. Some of you worry about that your parents don't love you, right? Parents abused you. It ain't about them. It's about you loving yourself. Some of you feel like your kids don't love you. Love yourself and get into that space. Okay. Frankisha said, very true. Healing is key. Thank you. And she said, I am. She's doing it. She's doing the work. She's even coming to our retreat next week. So we got to do the work, right? Barbara said, I really enjoyed listening to you tonight. Thank you for your advice. Thank you, Barbara. That means a lot to me. So let me know if you try something and it works for you. Or if it don't work, let me know too. Okay. Meredith said, beautiful song. Thank you for sharing. You are welcome. We need to be reminded that we love, right? Especially in this world of craziness. This world crazy. It's some crazy people. Our government been acting crazy. Love on yourself. And Frankisha said, you are your own happiness. And I agree. I'm not waiting on nobody else. Okay. I'm not. Hey, Ashley. She said, hi, Doc. Your face looks good. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley gave me a free facial when I was in the Philippines. So thank you. So that's what I want y'all to remember, that you're the most important person in the universe. Stop worrying about your kids, your spouses, your friends, and everybody else, and start working on yourself. Stop giving that good advice, but not giving the advice to yourself, because you are important. And I need you to start working on yourself. Okay. You can always visit our website at hushnomore.org. to get some resources. You can reach out to us. Always find us on social media. That is important, right? That is important that we're able to reach out. Okay. And I just want to help y'all. I just want to help you. I'm actually going to do the classes on experience the healing power of your sexual energy. That is big. And for 6 weeks, we're going to dive in. I created a workbook for you. I'm going to be giving you homework that you're going to do, right? So after that 6 weeks, I ain't going to say you're going to be perfect, but you're going to have all the tools that you need to continue healing and get into that space. And people be like, well, you can't ever heal. I don't ever want to believe that. I don't. I don't. You might get a trigger and something comes back, but don't look at it that you won't ever heal. Okay. Don't, because you could work on yourself. You can. Right. That is the link. Let me know if you have any questions. You can do payment plans. If you say, Vanessa, I need to pay $50 a month, $50 a week, we'll do that. But you got to start investing in yourself and healing and doing the work and actually getting with people that can help you. Jay is with Honors Yoga. I absolutely love him. He is my spiritual advisor and guide. He's taught me so much about sexual energy and healing that space. And literally, y'all, when I was going through training, I literally was crying because I was struggling, and I didn't even realize how much I was struggling as related to my relationships. I even apologized to my ex-husband because all of it wasn't him. It was me too. I wasn't even in a good space. I was operating my own trauma. So no, I didn't want him to touch me at times, right? I had those spaces that was rough for me. Then there was times that I was like, it's not enough. So I was stimulated. Sometimes people don't even want to be with the sex that harm them. So you've been molested by a male, so you only want to be with women, right? And vice versa. So looking at that and understanding our own energy is important. All right, it's important. Good morning, Ashley from the Philippines. Hey, love. Thank you for tuning in. Monique said, thank you for the reminder, Vanessa. I love you. You are welcome, Monique. Work on it. Work on anything that it could be going on. It's important that we're special, okay? That's the link, y'all. That's the link, okay? All right, next week, we're going to be talking about childhood sexual abuse. I have a special guest that's going to be coming on with me, and her name is Kelly. And I got to meet Kelly, Kelly Wallace. I got to meet her in Oregon a couple of weeks ago. So it was just a pleasure. But when you have childhood sexual abuse, that affects your sexual energy. And that is big. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about somatic energy on the 17th. And how do you work on that? Nobody tells us this. Nobody talk to us about it. Okay. Remember that this is PTS Awareness Month. There are PTSD Awareness Month. There are a lot of people that are struggling. So love on each other, reach out to people. And I also want you to remember that CTR Media Network shows so much love for us. And so I want y'all to show love for them and go check out all the shows that they have. This is some amazing podcasters. So I'm not out here by myself. We got a lot of information that's being given, but we don't always get to see it. Okay. I love you all. If there's anything that I can do for you, reach out. We're going to Puerto Rico the 13th through the 16th. It's sold out, but I'm so excited for the women that's on that journey because we're going to be tackling, working on our sexual energy. Even though we're going to the rainforest and to the beach, we're going to be doing some work with Tiara. Tiara's going to be working with their energy and focusing on those sacred chakras and on your sacral chakra and really getting to the root of the problems that we have going on. So reach out, do some healing, do the work. Don't expect nobody else to make you happy because that's a problem. I don't even want to be with nobody that needs me to make them happy. I should be elevating them. I should be making them happy, right? To the next level, not to get you happy. And the same with you. If you are not happy, it's not fair to somebody else to have to deal with you. I'm just going to tell you straight up. We shouldn't. Okay. And if you know somebody that's dealing with it, be honest and have the conversation. Okay. All right. Cherie, hey, hello, beautiful. She said, you're amazing. And I honor you and I thank you because I do believe that you're amazing too. So peace and blessings, y'all. Hushnomore.org is our website. 1-888-285-2161 is our phone number. You can always find us at Hush No More on Facebook. It's Hush No More Movement on Facebook, Hush No More Now on Instagram, and Hush No More with Dr. Vanessa on YouTube. Okay. So reach out to us. Tell somebody that you know that's struggling. that you heard something about some sexual energy and if there's some things that they can do. And I also do one-on-one. So if you don't want to do the group and you don't want to be in that space, even though it's always going to be a protected space, I don't let nobody in there that's messy, and I will kick you out. I don't let nobody know when you're talking about sex and being rude. That's not what it's about. But if you want to work one-on-one and we start working on your sexual energy, I do coach in that space. Um, I don't be having a lot of time, so I don't always tell people. But I do. I do coach in that space. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to be able to say sex, sex, sex. And I enjoy sex and know myself and know my body and know my pleasure points, right? And also to know your triggers. Know your triggers. You are loved. Remember, check out Cleo Soul. She's dope. I'll drop it in the comments too. And remind yourself of that and find space. Remember, you're the most important person in the universe. I'll see y'all around.